Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to read The Masked Murderer 5, The Future. Prologue. With the destruction of the syndicate and the end of everything it stood for, the future seemed bright. But before the syndicate collapsed and slowly died out and the mask was used to overthrow the federal government, was destroyed. Michael III was not done. The end of the syndicate was the end of the federal government. The syndicate had dragged the federal government down with them. Chapter 1. United We Stand. In the early 2000s to the mid 2000s marked the unfortunate end of the federal government. However, hope did not die out, though all the Asian countries saw that the USA was weak and prepared to occupy. Michael III had a huge task ahead of him: to rebuild the federal government and prevent a giant invasion on American soil. Chapter 2. Russia and Europe. Michael III called Russia's leader asking for help in rebuilding the United States. Russia's leader replied, "Of course, I'm in your debt, especially after the destruction of that dreaded syndicate." Michael III then proceeded in calling Europe for help as well. Europe's leader responded, "Of course, America is like a treasure to us, so be it." There was no resistance between Russia and Europe because they were indebted to the mask of change and their wearers, so began alliances to rebuild America and keep it strong. America had a better chance of survival. Chapter 3. Asia Strategy. A meeting was called between all Asian countries. They wanted to unite under one power to crush and occupy America. It was agreed that this was the best plan to take America down a couple notches. The hard part was appointing someone to that particular position. Very difficult decisions had to be made in order for this strategy to come into effect. After a while of disputing and arguing, they decided the best course of action is that they needed a person for the job that was extremely evil, with no mercy, remorse, or pity. This person had to be vicious in everything he did. So they set up a contest in which that would mark the most terrible time in Asian history. The country with the most evil acts and the person within the country who was the most fit for the position would have to qualify. Through many different evil acts, so the contest began to see which country and which person within could do the most horrific deeds ever. One of the Asian countries decided that they would take every cat and dog within their country and drown them in a very bloody ceremony. They did not win. Another country decided to make their elderly starve to death on TV so the world could watch. They did not win. Another country decided to cut off the left arm of every woman within their country. They did not win. Another country decided to cut a man's head off every day for 50 days. They did not win. Japan, knowing that they had to top all the other horrific deeds, decided to maim and torture 100 schools filled with innocent children in their country. All the other countries were shocked and horrified by this act, and they knew without a doubt Japan was the victor. Chapter 4. Beginning to rebuild. It started slowly but steady with Russia's help and Europe's resources. Russia began to help the United States build back its armed forces. First with weapons that could do little damage. Michael III accepted these gifts with open arms and used them full-heartedly, showing Russia that they could handle more destructive weapons. One thing turned into another. Michael III knew he had to impress Russia with his leadership and his men's military skills, lest Russia stop their alliance due to America's weakness. Every day, more weapons, more military vehicles, and more soldiers flooded America's soil. As Michael III looked, he saw a vast army of 125,000 men and women ready to defend their country. He was shocked that it just started with only 250 men and women. Europe saw how much progress America made in their military, and Europe saw their sheer determination to rebuild their country in other aspects. Europe was more than willing to begin sending financial aid and the tools it took to help America rebuild its financial stability. Hi, Zake. How you been? They began by dropping clothing, food, and supplies. Michael III knew from his dealings with Russia that he had to impress Europe with the use of these supplies. He did this by feeding and clothing the Americans that survived. Europe was impressed that within only 2 months, Europe had willingly given America the tools and the help they needed to totally fix their economy. Good, and you? What are you reading? I'm reading the story I made in high school. It's called the Masked Murderer Collection. It's a collection of short stories. Chapter 5. Right now we're on book 5. Chapter 5, The Spirit of Change. Michael III was pleased with his alliances with Russia and Europe, that he decided it was time. He knew that the mask that had been with his family for generations had finally fulfilled its obligations to Michael III and his family, and they kept true to the spirit of justice, liberty, and freedom, for all which was that what the mask had changed always stood for. It was late at night. Michael III was alone with the mask, and as he held the mask, bearing the memories of his family who wore it, before him tears poured from his eyes. Michael III began to speak slowly and softly. You have brought many changes to this world. I trust and respect you for all you have done, so please let me know if this is the end. The mask then became so heavy in Michael III's hand that he dropped it. As soon as the mask hit the floor, a calming light came from its mouth and eyes. The mask began to speak. I have only done what I believed in your family. I admit it is the greatest, and I would and could not have chosen better. And for generations to this day, still your family has the greatest golden heart I have seen since George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. You and your family did what they believed in for the good of all mankind. But I'll tell you the truth. My presence here is no longer needed in a physical form. I will still be with you, and if you need me, your heart will show you the way. But I need to tell you something before I go. Your world, Earth, as you know it, is not going to take change that easily. The world is on the brink of a new era where the power of very great forces will no longer turn the tide of history. That is all I can say. It is up to you to find the answer. I will tell you this. Goodbye. It was nice knowing you and all your family. Thank you for everything. And with that, the mask shattered into pieces, carried by the four winds. Michael III fell on his knees, not entirely knowing what the future had in store for him. Chapter 6, Presidency and the Defense of America. Michael III was now ready to take the responsibility as the USA's leader. Everyone, including Congress, the Supreme Court, and the executive branch, supported Michael III's ascension to presidency. Never before or again has anyone accomplished such a feat. Michael III was finally sworn into office and gave out an impassioned speech. He said, My fellow Americans, I can't stress to you how I want this country to stay a democracy. But if any countries try to rise up because we're weak and take over this great republic, all that we have achieved will be lost. So I ask you all, especially our fighting men and women, to lay down your lives for a great cause. I know we aren't perfect, but there is something that lets us stand together. America. Now who's with me? For we don't invade other countries, nor do we let us become the victims of their conquests. We are a democracy. We also protect other countries, including our allies, from the hunger of countries who want to unite the world under one government. Now, who is with me? The crowd replied, All hail America! Long live democracy! And with that, Michael III gained the support of everyone. Meanwhile, Chapter 7, this is war. The emperor of all Asia called a strategic meeting, saying how they were going to attack America. He said our main army, led by General Tai Quinn, will attack America from the front. Our vast navy, led by Supreme Admiral Lukin, will support the ground troops with artillery fire, which could be called at any time. Our Air Force, led by Grand Ace Chow Ku, will also be available for support. They will also bomb important American landmarks. The Emperor then said, "Good luck," meaning adjourned. Chapter 8. Asia underestimates America. The Americans were prepared for anything. The Navy guarded the coast, the Marines and the Army set up military fortresses and guarded each place, including each and every landmark the American Air Force patrolled. The skies and alerted Michael III about the invasion on American soil. Michael III came up with a brilliant plan. Michael III called Russia and said, "I need you to do me one last favor. Can you declare war on Asia?" Russia's leader replied, "Very well. We'll do what you think is best." Michael III then proceeded and called Europe, and he asked, "Can you bomb some important Asian landmarks?" Europe's leader replied, "Of course. As this happened, the Americans fought the Asian invaders on their soil. All these events lasted 3.5 years, and the results were catastrophic." So Asia. So 468,878 died. 178,897 were wounded. 3,089 battleships were destroyed. 489 destroyers were destroyed. 10 aircraft carriers. Air Force 1,899 bombers were destroyed. 3,089 fighters were destroyed, and 1,989 multitask aircraft were destroyed. You have a radio voice. Your voice also sounds robotic and soothing. It reminds me of those storytelling voices. Thank you. I appreciate that, Felix the Cat. So the total casualties on Asia was 658,340. America. In the Army, 297,097 died. 109,879 were wounded. Marines, 296,675 died. 189,765 were wounded. Navy, 2,567 submarines were destroyed. 6,879 battleships were lost. 8 aircraft carriers were destroyed. Air Force, 5,789 bombers were lost. 6,789 fighters were lost. Total casualties for America, 968,448. After the 3.5-year war, the Emperor of all Asia and Asia itself surrendered. An Asian ambassador met Michael III to discuss terms of peace. Here is what the agreement boiled down to. America will rebuild all Asian landmarks. America will not invade Asia again. America will continue to trade with Asia. Asia will still trade with America. Asia will compensate America for its military losses. Asia will not invade America again. The Asian ambassador and Michael III agreed to this treaty, and for another long time, the world would be at peace. The end. So that was it for book 5. Like I said, I wrote this in high school, so it was make you're funny. Anyways, so if you want to get more context for the story, once I end the live, just look at the playlist and it'll help you. Anyways, you all have a good one. Thank you.